What's going on, Pizza fam? Welcome back to the Pizza King podcast. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed, and today we're flipping the script a little bit. My guest isn't a pizzeria operator, but he's built 12 online brands, generated over 10 million in sales, and mastered the art of systems at scale. I'm talking about Neil Twa, Amazon FBA expert and co-author of Almost Automated Income. We talk about how to sell smarter, how to build brands that run without you, and what pizza shop owners can learn from the e-commerce playbook. But here's the kicker. Neil is giving away 10 free copies of his best-selling book just for our listeners. I'll tell you how to grab yours later in the episode, so stick around. Let's get into it. What's going on, Pizza fam? Look, I appreciate each one of you for listening to this show, listening to this episode. Before we get back to it, I wanted to tell you about my favorite product right now, Todd's Curry Sauce. I met these guys at the Florida Restaurant Show, Pizza Tomorrow Summit, and I'm telling you, ever since I tried that sauce, I have been putting it on everything in the shop. Chicken wings, pizza, you've seen the pizzas, chicken sandwich, salad dressing, like we've been putting Todd's Curry Sauce on everything, and I'm here to give you a special deal, special offer. Go to their website, toddscurrysauce.com, use code Pizza King, and get 10% off your next order. I promise you, you only need to try it one time. It's going to be the best curry sauce you ever tasted in your life. You're going to start putting it on all kinds of stuff in your shop, even at home. I got a bottle in the pantry here at the house. I got a bottle at the shop. Elliot, Todd, I need another bottle because I'm putting it everywhere. I'm putting it on everything. So go check it out. Use code Pizza King and get 10% off your next order. Peace. Let's get back to it. There we go. We are live. Thank you, Neil Twa, for joining us on Pizza King podcast.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's always cool to bring in folks from other businesses and other industries and other entrepreneurs who have built brands and businesses.
Yeah. Well, the first question, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, let's keep this interesting. I don't want to bore anybody with what I do, and we'll talk about that maybe at some other point. But really what's fascinating to me is, you know, the market opportunity for physical products has always been there. I just never saw it in the way that it hit my eyes about 12 years ago. I was doing kind of affiliate marketing and selling, you know, the data, but I wasn't selling the actual product. Somebody else was owning that product. And when I realized in business, you know, to own a brand is to own the whole thing from end to end. Kind of, we say, keep it all and keep it small, right? So when I got to that point, I was like, wait, I need to control not just the marketing, the offer, I need to control the product and the outcome. And when I combine those two things, to me, like a light bulb went off, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I combine both of these things. I'm not just an entrepreneur anymore. I'm a business owner, right? I'm a real live boy. And one of the processes by which we determined that was failing through product opportunities, seeing what wins, see how the data, and eventually, you know, analyze the data and create processes and systems that could repeat that process. It took us to about 2015 before we hit our first 7 figures in sales online with Amazon. And once we hit that mark, there's a bunch of things that occur that you're not really aware of how they will occur or how you will deal with them until it does. And it's one thing to say you want scale in a 7-figure business. It's another thing to get there and then realize the challenges and opportunities that presents. And as we hit that and realized, okay, we need more systems and processes in place. We want to replicate this. How is it going to happen? And that, by which my partner Reed and I have been together for 12 years, that's his brain, that's his operational control, that's his thing. And so, you know, the two of us operating as one brain, we sort of figured this out. And we've been able to scale to 12 brands now. We've done a lot of business in the online marketplaces and are even in the position of acquiring those companies now. But the first thing it always comes down to, and the most critical thing, is what the heck do I sell? You can insert any explicitive in there you want, right?
I got a few.
But it really gets down to, like, you know, selling a product. And you guys obviously get that at 24 years of experience in the pizza business. You get it comes down to the product, right? The secondary component is any service or activity or pricing or thing that encompasses that activity that makes people feel good about getting that product from you, as how quick they get it and how the quality of the product, of course, and how fast it's received and other things that really generate more business and keep that, you know, revenue high and keep people coming back over and over again as repeat customers. And we get that because we're in the product world, right? But in our product world, we don't sell the consumables like the pizza. We sell the gear, accessories, and equipment that allow people to do that. So we call, you know, selling shovels to miners, right? So instead of shoveling the pizza, I would shovel all the gear around it, right? If you want to make a pizza,
there's plenty of it.
There's a lot of it. And by the way, it sells a lot. Pizza stones on Amazon, for example, sell more than 100 a year. There are more than 300,000 units of pizza cutters that are sold, and the pizzas themselves sell 1 million plus units a year on Amazon. So there is a economy of scale that occurs here, and it's a economic term basically meaning that the cost or growth of a business, I have to acquire infrastructure, people, and other costs in order for that economy to grow larger. If I want to deliver more pizzas, I got to have more trucks. If I want more income, I got to have more pizzas moved, or I got to have more pizza shops. There's a cost opportunity with that economy of scale. But what if I could remove that? What if the economies of scale was already baked into the crust? You see what I did there? That was pretty fun. Yeah. So what
You're a dad.
I will try not to do that anymore. But if it was baked in, then what would my job be? Well, my job would be to sell more shovels to the miners because the infrastructure or the economy of scale is already built into the pie, meaning that I can grow as fast as that infrastructure can deliver the products. And since I'm riding off this big platform called Amazon, many of you know it as the deliveries that show up at your house. The technical terminology for it is called fulfilled by Amazon, or FBA. The end result is that delivering that pizza and stuff to your house is done by them. Their pick and pack and ship and delivery and return and customer support and stuff are all handled by them. So that creates an upside or an economy of scale that does not grow in volume of cost as much as it grows in volume of product and volume of sales, meaning that we can have a one-person business that has maybe 2 or 3 virtual assistants working part-time that generates 15 to 20 million a year in sales. So the economies of scales on those kinds of platforms create this entire upside where I don't have to go buy warehouses or hire a bunch of employees to make that work. So it's very lean, it's very mean, and I can do it anywhere from an internet connection.
Wow, I couldn't even imagine doing 15 million. You know how much real estate that we need just to accomplish that?
Yeah, it's a whole different economy of scale. So with the online side, what we have to look at is where's the product, its opportunity, and how many units are they moving, and how do I position a product profitably in that position of being able to sell it against market competition. So the second component of figuring out what the heck to sell is to determine what's already in demand, right? Like what's already out there that can be sold. Is there something in my history or familiar or background or whatnot that could lean me to understanding a particular product type, segment, et cetera, something I've bought, something I've used, something I've done in business? And if I can condition my mind to start seeing those as opportunities as opposed to just liabilities, because when I buy it and use it, unless it's in the effect of creating or generating revenue, it is a liability, right? So until I turn it into an asset, how do I do that? Well, if you start seeing all the products in your life around you or in your business as opportunities for revenue generating assets, RGAs, this whole thing shifts, which means now every product you see, everything you've used, every pizza cutter you did, every pizza pan you used, everything suddenly becomes an asset, right? It's
Is
just for
that
you to turn
that
that
why
into an asset.
that why Amazon now starts to show the number of units sold under products now?
They have what's called Product Opportunity Explorer, and hidden in there are categories and data and system that not everybody gets access or knows how to get access to in the system. And we've been able to get access to it and determine the 103,000 customer needs that make up all of Amazon's 700 billion in revenue. So I can literally go in and pick, like Jeff Bezos rolling up and being, man, sell this pizza cutter, not that one, and you're going to make money. I can literally pick that data out of my system now and know that it's Amazon's data, validated by keywords, amount of searches, product and customer demand based on that giant AI filing system that is Amazon. It's just a giant filing system of technology that puts products in front of people in 30 seconds or less and gets them to buy. It's the entire mission of the organization. It's the reason why you go to Amazon. You don't go to Amazon to browse, you go to Amazon to buy. So in 30 seconds or less. So our goal is to get people into a position to buy something from us in 30 seconds or less, buy more of it, and then continue to buy more and more of additional products we roll out in a portfolio of products in our brand. Make sense? But we have to make sure they're profitable. It's very important. And we say in the world, friends don't let friends buy and sell $20 products on Amazon. It's just no longer profitable, right? Cost, market, Amazon's infrastructure fees and stuff do not make it profitable. So if you've heard the myths or been on YouTube, and you can shut me up and ask questions anytime you want, bro.
No, I'm listening because I'm actually thinking about something, and I want you to finish that point because I'm thinking about something that we were looking into, and it almost made sense until it didn't.
Okay, so profitability being the number one factor in business because you pay yourself, you pay your employees, you pay for growth, you pay for marketing, you pay for the business's continuity comes out of profit. So it really is the most important thing. But remember, profits isn't just finances. There's profits in life, relationships, family. There's spiritual profits. Profit is just a word we tend to align with a financial gain when we really should be thinking about the purpose and value of it. right? We'll get to that a little bit more as I keep talking, but the end result is we align with these products. They must be profitable. In my world, they have to have more than $12 in net profit per unit, or we don't sell them. As we have gone through enough products, enough portfolios, and enough brands, we have discovered that as long as we keep all of our products above $12 and it rolls up to the overarching brand, which comes to what's called a profit and loss statement in the business, then with that profit and loss statement, we see a net 20% or higher at the bottom line of the business. And we want to maintain that net 20% or greater. So we never launch a product that jeopardizes that. Okay. Which means our products will typically be $50 to $500 in retail price point, and they average somewhere around $100 to $300 on average. Okay. With that, my profits typically can be between $25 to $150 in profit per unit. Now we're talking. So we don't want to launch a product that's less than $50 in retail price point on an online marketplace, just to be very clear. When Amazon takes its fees and its costs and everything, and you got to market and you want something at the end, $5 in net profit is not sexy.
It no, and $1 or $2 is even less.
Is even worse.
We looked at, my wife and I, we were buying beach balls for a party, and we saw that they're selling 50,000 beach balls a month from this seller that we were looking. And I'm wondering, like, how in the world can we do that? Like, maybe we should sell beach balls. And I look, and we can get them for 14 cents, but you can sell them for $1.50.
Yeah, so now you're pulling down into the bottom half of where a lot of sellers and people, and again, this is the myth. You'll hear it online, you'll hear it in the YouTubes, you'll hear it in the complaints about selling on platforms like Amazon and TikTok and others. And that is that when you get to the bottom of that profit, it's just not sexy enough. And so you get the illusion out of an amateur business mind, frankly, right? Or just a misunderstanding of the market or how to run the numbers correctly, the fundamentals of business, that I'll make up for the profit by volume. And that is an absolute myth, an absolute lie. And anybody who's been in business for 5 minutes will figure that out very quickly, that you can't make it up. So if somebody's selling 50,000 units a month with $1 in profit, sure, the 50,000 in gross profit sounds really sexy. But after you cover the cost, after you cover your taxes, after you pay yourself, you're closer to like 35 cents.
Yeah.
And so it's not really that sexy. And you're moving a lot of volume of product for low profit.
Yeah.
Yep. And that volume is like revenue. It's vanity, right? It's vanity. Cash flow is king and profit is sanity. So what we want is the sanity of business that comes from profit. I would rather sell 1,000 units with $50 a month in profit than 10,000 units with $1 in profit. Why? Next month, if I don't increase my profits, but I increase the volume of units I move, I increased storage cost, upfront manufacturing cost, time on the water, additional storage in the marketplace, and storage when it hits the warehouses. I have incurred additional costs without gaining the profit. Right? And so you're going to see that hit the bottom line model. Right. So what we want is to go out and make sure that going by the numbers means that every unit we sell has more than $12 in net profit per unit. Even greater, all better. So we have to get all the known and not known, because you wouldn't know this per se if you've never been in the business, all the different costs associated with making sure you hit the net 12 and making sure that you know what those things are. We tracked a spreadsheet for many years with 49 different data points that made sure we understood exactly any cost, potential, or opportunity that allowed us to stay within that profit margin, right? And knowing your numbers is not a fun thing. In Good to Great, Jim Collins calls it, looking at the rock and turning it over and looking at the ugly squiggly things underneath it, right? We have to turn the rock over and look at the ugly things and make sure we understand what we're looking at, right? So that net profit is extremely important.
So you also mentioned, really developing these products into your own products and your own brand. Does that mean that you're taking products that are performing well and then recreating that process and manufacturing on your own, or are you?
Yeah, great question. Okay. Yeah, we call that don't marry your products. Steal somebody else's girlfriend instead. Okay. Now, I'm a married man of 18 years. I don't mean to literally go steal a girlfriend. We're not talking about getting on the Jumbotron and having your entire life ruined, okay? So what we're talking about is the opportunity. You saw that, right?
I love it, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Poor folks. I can't believe they did that.
I can't believe they did that either. Now he thinks he's going to sue Coldplay and all that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The arrogance of this guy. So the end result is we don't marry our products because there are millions of product opportunities when we go through innovation, not invention. So a lot of people, when they think of products in the physical product world, they immediately land on the product and they think I've got to invent something or no one's going to want to buy millions of these from me and I'm going to be like the Shark Tank's next biggest deal. That's not actually how it works for 99% of online sellers or people in brands and products. What they do is they look and they say, oh, there's a Coke in the market that's selling really well. And then they realize, oh, I could create a Pepsi version of this and compete with Coke and give people an opportunity to have a Pepsi compared to a Coke. It's the same way when you go to a four corner stop in most all of America today. You see Burger King on one side and McDonald's on the other. You go down the next block, and what do you see? You see a CVS across from a Walgreens. You go down the next block, you see a Walmart across from a Target. So we just borrowed from retail the same thing for online, and we simply look for those Coke products, which we
Right.
can slip into that second position and become their Pepsi. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
So with that, when making sure that it's profitable, I'm simply looking for all the Pepsi opportunities that I can dig into to become the number two, because it's okay, we're number two, like to get into number two position. Why? Because I can enter the market. I'm not taking all the arrows from the first guy. I'm offering a competitive advantage to a marketplace that already wants it at that price point. Could be $100, could be $200. And I'm offering them another option for 100 or 200 and saying, what about this one? Right? So
I
I'm
love it.
innovating a product idea that's already in demand.
I like it. Does that prevent you from jumping into that race or that price war and race to the bottom?
Nope, no price war and race to the bottom at this side of the house, because when the brand competition starts in, it is a race to the top, not a race to the bottom. Prices will actually increase to try to outmaneuver each other when brand on brand competition occurs, because everybody loses at that level when they lower their prices. So nobody lowers their prices. What you end up doing is raising your prices. It sounds counterintuitive, but it is the opposite difference of selling a product versus selling data to AI engines. Hear me when I say this. I don't sell physical products. AI engines sell physical products, pick and pack it out of the warehouses with their automation tools, deliver it in the trucks, and do the whole tracking, the whole shipment itself. That's all done through literally what we call almost automated income. My job is to sell data to an AI engine.
Well, that's what AI engines need is data, right? And
That's all they're powered by, right? Amazon is no different. It wants to sell something to someone in 30 seconds or less. And guess what? It's better at doing it than you and I are. So when it understands and tests and learns and is adapting and becoming what AI is becoming, which is either good or bad, I don't know. I got my tinfoil hat on and I'm waiting for the Terminator moment. We'll see if that occurs. But I know that AI is doing what I can't do a lot of times, is combining so much data at it's so fast a pace that it is looking for an audience that matches your product. And all it wants to do is put that audience in front of your product, believing that they will buy the Pepsi 1,000 times a month or 1,000 times a day. So its entire job is to connect those two things. It's not my job to do that. My job is to get the AI engine to say, I got a Pepsi. There's already a Coke. You need to consider me. And to get that engine to consider me by giving it its correct data, I then take a product opportunity and I say, well, what about this version of Pepsi? And it goes, meow, that's 10 sales a day. And I say, okay, what about this version of Pepsi? Man, that's 25 sales a day. And I say, well, what if I do this combination of it? And it goes, oh, that's 100 sales a day. So I'm
that's good.
literally getting the AI engine to dial in. So I won't launch one product. I'll launch a minimum of 5 products.
Got it.
Okay. Because statistical data and relevance, law of averages, says out of 5 products, 1 or 2 of them is going to kick off. It's going to literally just take off. Right time, right market, right message, right price point in my brand. And it will literally take off. And it will become the market share next leader opportunity to the primary product. And I'll become the number 2. It's just a matter of time in year 2, 3, 4, 5, where I can get close enough or even overtake the existing market share of that product. So with not marrying my product and being married to my brand, that's the most critical thing, because now I'm just going to keep selling data in different ways to this engine until it picks up one of those data points and runs with it.
I love it. So through that data, and it's giving me, I can think back to the time where drop shipping exploded, right?
Right.
And this is not drop shipping. This is
It is not drop
this
shipping.
is
It's
fulfilled
private
by
label brand
Amazon.
building.
This
Yep.
is building a brand. How do you, through that data, determine how much inventory we need, where that inventory needs to be located? Because Amazon is everywhere, right? How
Super great question.
do you
Yeah.
get product where it needs to be?
Yep. So at the end of the day, we have a manufacturer somewhere in the world, US or otherwise. I have US based manufacturers. I got people in India. Of course, I've got people in China, but we have people in Pakistan too. We have people in different locations that manufacture products for us. So we're clear. It comes down to the best product opportunity to meet the quality and control of the product, so I don't get negative reviews, because it becomes about the product when it's delivered. It isn't about the product until it's actually delivered. And then once it's delivered and it's a good product and it doesn't break and it fulfills the outcome and they keep the product, don't return the product, they maybe leave a great review or they don't leave a review at all because they're happy with it, and that's fine. Then that's when it becomes about the product. So all the way up until that point is always about where the data and perception of the market is. So I can have products manufactured anywhere as long as I can keep the quality control and the profitability where that needs to be for my ability to sell into that market. So when I have that product manufactured and sold for me, I'm going to go through a 100 to 200 unit test of that product because I can see with 80% confidence there are 1 million units of this product. There's 300,000 units of that product sold every year. I know what I can attach to that market share. There's an average of, say, 15,000 units of pizza cutters sold every year. That means for every seller in Amazon, there is an average of all of those sellers selling pizza cutters who are moving 15,000 units a year. Okay. So I want to become one of the 23 products that's selling that, and I want to actually get into the top 1 to 3 positions of that particular product. So now I know that I have to roughly sell 1,200 units a month to compete with those top tier products, possibly even 2 to 3 times that, because averages means while 15,000 units are moved a year, some people may be moving 35, some people may be moving 500. 35. You're right. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So 35,000, while some people are moving 500. So, but the average is 15. So I know that there's people doing way more than 15. There's people doing 2 to 3 times that a year, but then there are other people doing below that. So I want to be with those top, 1%, 5% who are maybe moving 30 to 50,000 units a year. So I'm going to move that into position, but first I'm going to test with all that 80% of data that we're getting here, and then we're going to take that into the market. We're going to create a great listing, a powerful copied listing image that just goes, wow, that's the one I was looking for in 30 seconds.
And this is feeding the right data to the algorithm.
Feeding the right data to the system, the right keywords, the right location that you file it inside of there is important too. And which particular product that is in that demand, that Pepsi to that Coke, is very important. And when I compete with that Pepsi to Coke analogy here, then what the outcome becomes is a product that will show me in that first 100 to 200 units that it is capable of getting to revenue, that I am capable of selling it in the market projection-wise profitably over 12 months, up to 4 inventory turns a year. In the real estate world, we're borrowing terms called cash-on-cash value, right? That I can churn 4 times a year for my cash on cash value of the inventory equal to the top 5% of those sellers, which means that once that product data tells me that I have a green light, I'm going to go order 1,000 of those units. Okay. And then I'm going to take those 1,000 units and move from, market test, projection, profitability, sales, etc., into profitability. And from there, I will have a 90-day forecast that tells me how fast I project to move that first 1,000 units. Because remember, I've got to move between 1,000 to 3,000 units a month to hit those other metrics at the top end of those sellers, which means I'm not going to do that until I'm getting 2,000 or 3,000 units in stock and available times at least 2 to 3. Why? It's their marketplace. When your product starts to sell, okay, and the customers are loving it, they don't want you to stock out. It's very bad. So they will throttle your sales and stop you from selling out of inventory if your inventory level is lower than the top competitors. So once I know I can sell the crap out of it, what do I have to do, Tyrell? I have to be willing to now risk 2, 3, 5,000 units of inventory on an educated guess with all the data that tells me I should do it, so that I can now start moving my sales velocity up to that 3,000 to 5,000 unit mark. And now I'm starting to compete with the big boys. So literally, I follow the data into its success. In that 100 to 200 unit test, if it doesn't sell well, but I do make sales, I must optimize my listing, copy, and brand because I simply didn't hit the target. In the mind of the customer, they didn't see my Pepsi better than the existing Coke. So they didn't want to buy as many as mine. So I optimize that. I change listings or copy and I tweak it just a little bit. And here's what can happen in 30, 60, 90 days. You can go from selling maybe 1 to 2 a week to 1 to 2 an hour.
Really?
Right. It can change.
If you're reading the signals correctly.
If you're looking at the optimizations, if you're making the tweaks, if you're dialing in that image copy and graphics, says, hey, okay, we were slightly wrong, so we tweaked this just a little bit, and you dial in those conversions, right? All of a sudden, things can take off, and the organic engine that is powering this entire huge thing that has 200 million customers selling 6,500 to 7,500 units a minute will start dialing in your product listing and copy, meeting that audience that wants your product. The same ones that wanted the Coke product, they're now offering your Pepsi. And when that opens up, these things can go into hyper growth. Now you have a new problem, right? But that's a problem we can solve. So how do we solve that? Capitalization of inventory. Take it
Spend
out
that
of
money.
fiat. I know that's really hard to do, people. Take it out of your fiat currency
Spend
and
that money.
transfer it into a hard asset of inventory. Excuse me, asset. What the hell is an asset? A hard asset of inventory that is worth up to 5 to 10 times what you bought it for. That's the same thing as real estate. We transfer that out of cash into real estate, a physical inventory. From that physical inventory, we're going to have a churn. We're going to have a 90-day cash flow plan. We're going to have a churn. As we churn and burn, we should be turning that inventory over 4 times a year. When we hit that mark, we are now going to start overtaking market share. And here's the thing. With all of that said, year one is the building year. No matter what you do in a business of physical products, it is the building year. Plow all net profits and cash back into building. Why? Amazon will not basically show you to more than 5% of the total market share beyond year one, because the established market share is already setting there and you have to go take that market share. And once you start to take over that market share and you start to poke those boys and they know you show up, because in the end of the day, every brand I have only has 3 to 7 competitors. That's it. Right? 3 to 7 competitors. That's it. And with that, when you start to show up, they know you're there. And so when we show up to take that market share, it now becomes a bit of a brand to brand battle to take that market share away from them. Now, if I have enough profit in my business to do that, enough profit in my sale, I can then go and acquire more of those customers and start eating away their market share. But up to 5% the first year that product is, first year that's live. What happens is Amazon, who's told us this literally, that we go to 20% in year two. It's a huge jump when that product is now growing with reviews and data and having historical validation. It's like a snowball rolling down here. It'll open up 20% of the market share opportunity in year two. And year three, that jumps to 40%. So when you launch these products and those numbers are dialed in, it is your opportunity cost to capitalize that through years 2 and 3, because years 3 and 5 can be scale. Nice. And what I mean by scale, Tyrell, is businesses that go 10 to 20 to 30 million or more. I have one of the only provable case studies of the fastest growth on Amazon in 1 year to 5 million a month. And it's verified. It's back in 2015. We got a gentleman's product to grow to 5 million a month in the first 9 months.
Wow.
So these systems are so large, moving so fast, right? With so much data and so many buyers, most people have a scarcity mindset as to how fast and how big this can happen when you're no longer just touching a local audience within 25 miles of your pizza shop, but you're now touching every American buyer in the continental United States.
Yeah, and we're built on similar principles, but the scale happens much faster in that digital world.
And economies of scale is very different. My major capitalization cost no longer becomes employee healthcare and a store and a physical presence. It becomes capitalization of the inventory. So when I'm starting to see that opportunity and I now need to get $250,000, $500,000, $750,000 in credit line to grow that business and turn that inventory faster, that is my opportunity cost. If I choose not to do that as a business owner, I will choose to slow down the growth of this business. But when that snowball starts happening in years 2 and 3 and 4, you capitalize that opportunity, and a 7, 8, even 9-figure business is completely possible because the market is already there. You just are going to get it faster and faster, and you're collecting more and more inventory, and you're basically telling that giant AI engine, oh, by the way, that competitor that was number one who has 10,000 units in stock and was moving 5,000 a month, I've got 20,000 in stock. How about me?
Ready.
And it's going to go, oh, we'll show you to more. You're in demand. People like you. You're profitable. We'll show you to more people. And that's exactly what it will do. It will take you along for the ride.
It kind of goes against traditional business principles, or at least principles that I've been raised on, where we think about, you mentioned customer acquisition, and the algorithm will start to show you to more folks. We come from a world of marketing and advertising where we'll just buy more customers. We'll just buy more customers. Have you seen folks just blow through their cash because they've ignored the signals and they've just chosen to try to market their way to success?
I have. There's a balance in this system of Amazon that I like first for people who are coming online and wanting to, aspiring entrepreneurs, maybe people looking at franchises and thought processes and saying, could I sell this? The fundamentals of business are business at the end of the day. When we sell a physical product, that's just a different variable in the equation of business. whether it's pizza, a physical product, whether it's real estate. Those are just the variables by which money is churned and burned in these businesses, but the fundamentals are still the same. The profit and loss still has to be the same. The growth is, can be different based on accessibility to market conditions, right? Or the change in market conditions. And so when we look at this opportunity for growth and we look at these particular products, at the end of the day, the more products I launch, the more money I'm going to make. And with more products becomes more brand. We're all brand driven at the end of the day. So much about what car we drive, what shoe we have, what television we prefer, what phone we use or don't use is about our brand. And that is where we marry these brands all the way until sale, right? So as we think about this business and its fundamentals, that is still the same principles. The methods seem a little bit foreign because we're using online versus local shops, but you can connect the two together too, by the way. We've connected local shops to online presences. That's not a new thing. It's just there's a thought process, an unknown that's like, well, it's an online world. I don't understand that. Well, I've taught 19-year-old high school dropouts and 76-year-old grandmas how to do this. At the end of the day, you just have to be willing to see the tenacity and perseverance of a market opportunity that presents itself to its business. And with the Amazon system, there's a whole organic component to that system that is built in that also allows pay-per-click marketing, as you had just mentioned, where we can acquire customers through marketing within that system's marketing system, and then use the organic side to make more profitable sales, while marketing is like a cruise control on a car.
Yeah.
When we move that marketing, the highest cost is getting it up to speed, but then the greatest miles per gallon comes when you're maintaining the cruise. Well, PPC marketing in the world of Amazon is basically getting that organic to come above marketing and to make more sales as a percentage of all sales on the organic side. And then PPC marketing turns into more like your cruise control, right? We're acquiring customers profitably, and we're continuing to acquire them away from the competition, but we also have the benefit of full priced, full revenue, a full profit organic sales. And this is one of the only places online where you can actually do both.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so the organic piece is really important. It starts out with no organic, but our goal is to test the organic through these engines. There's AI engines, one's called Cosmo. And on Amazon, that basically helps with the rankability. So if we get the engine to believe that we are the best ranking product as we prime it in the first 90 days, then when I see that go up organically and I see the engine responding to us positively because we did the right things, it received the right things, it believes the right things about our product compared to the market, right? Our Pepsi to Coke. And then I add on PPC, that's gas on the fire. That simply turns on the speed by which we acquire customers. And here's the thing, and like a Google ads, a Facebook, or any other online market advertising, my advertising on Amazon will positively affect my rankability on Amazon.
Absolutely. Pay for play.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me track that whole thing and be able to see where our profit is. It's a giant engine. Its entire job is to sell products 24/7, 365, and it's pretty darn good at it.
How much of it is products? I mean, how much of the purchases are made just based on what the engine presents to folks versus what they're searching for? I think we search for category and we take whatever it's given us. And we take I always take, Amazon choice, or what does Amazon tell me I should buy? How do you?
Yeah, more and more people are driven by the suggestions of the AI systems now. More and more, as it defines what's now called a customer need in that system. And there are those needs I mentioned earlier. And then the customer intent, it will know that based on your product history and social preferences, that you are a pizza guy who likes to eat certain kinds of pizza. So it will present product and opportunities that it believes are intended for you, that you will intend to purchase because of your history and how it has learned about you. It's a very intelligent engine. It's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. It's getting so smart that for the first time since Amazon started buying Google AdWords, they shut that all off this week. Last week in July 2025, which they were the top buyer of Google AdWords, and they shut off all their campaigns. They are so confident now in their organic engine, their PPC, their acquisitions of Twitch and other services, and then more acquisitions of companies to distribute more organic and online marketing, that by 2026, they will become a leader in the advertising world, making more profit than Google AdWords. And that's where they're shifting their entire focus to. So they are becoming a marketing and engine. The products are simply the physical mechanism by which they sell the data services.
Is it even worth it or profitable to sell products on your own through your own channel?
It is at the end of the day. I know there's a lot of people who might argue that it's better to not be encompassed in a system like Amazon and to go off and do your own direct marketing, control your website, etc. And then what I see is they run on Shopify, which is a platform. So they're just on another platform. unless they went and bought the fiber line, bought the data center, right? Bought the servers in which their website is hosted, the argument is null and void. They're riding on someone else's system at the end of the day. Okay.
With
So
no
whether they say
traffic
they
if you're
own
there, right?
you're on someone else's system. Let's be pragmatic here. Let's use some common sense, right? While they say Shopify won't shut you off and Amazon will, that's not true. I've had stores shut off by Shopify. Okay. When they say, well, I can control more, well, that's fine. I actually don't want to control more of the technology. I want to control more of the customer's belief of my product. I want to control more of the branding. That's why everything we do is in trademarks, intellectual property, registrations, businesses, even down to patent pending if we need to go that far. We control the business of the business. The technology then becomes more agnostic in some ways, especially AI and others who are being concerned about how it's going to replace them, and automations with delivery and automations with pizza creation, automation with warehousing, and all these automations that are occurring. I'm not concerned about that because at the end of the day, all of those systems can deliver my product. So I simply ride the product, and the systems are the highway. All right. And as the systems and the highway changes, we'll just change with the highway. So I have become in this business world now with physical products sort of agnostic to things where the market changes. In 2020, we all know the market changed significantly, right? What most people don't understand, because they were all focused on the fear and the scarcity and the health and the wellness, was that in December of 2019, a 40-foot container cost $4,800 for us, 40-foot container of product delivered, okay? That jumped to $25,000 in the third quarter of December 2020. We saw 10 years of growth in the first 3 months of 2020, and the container prices jumped to 25 grand. Most people don't even know that. We had to ride that out in 22 and 23 until the market stabilized. Now they're all yelling about tariffs and this stuff and all this bad stuff, and tariffs are going to hurt the whole economy. What it did is it shook out all the weak businesses, all the weak leaders, and all the weak trouble. Net loss of 30,000 online sellers was gone. The 5.2 billion impressions stayed, and the market share reshift for everybody that is in there. And in fact, there were 4 years ago 50 $100 million companies on Amazon, and as of today there are 100 $100 million companies on Amazon now. So the market consolidation has shifted, has changed, and what it's created, just so we're very clear for the opportunity I'm about to tell you, so pay close attention. Since 2013, I've not seen a market share opportunity like this ever. And the window is between the next 6 to 12 months. If I were to predict and open my crystal ball, you have 6 to 12 months to get your products in the market, grab your market share, and that window is going to close because as people realize tariffs are actually creating positive net income for the United States, which is not my words. You can go look at all the financial stuff. This is not a geopolitical discussion. This is a business discussion, right? But it has geopolitical implications for the growth of companies in the United States. And with that, watching that increase, I'm watching a slingshot effect occur. And with that slingshot effect, because we're at the ground level of this, watching it happen, with tariffs increasing and the market share changing, we're watching brands that were 30% market share go to 43% market share simply because they existed when everybody else panicked. Okay. And that means that we're doubling down on inventory, we're doubling down on brands, we're doubling down on growth because we're coming up on the backside of this shift. And somewhere around the end of this third quarter into fourth quarter of 2025, that is going to be slingshot into 2026. If you're riding that wave, you're going to miss what is going to become a second largest opportunity I've seen in 18 years of business. Okay. And we have seen these tremendous shifts, but most people are looking at the scarcity and fear. And I need you to see it from the abundant side, right? Scared money don't make money, and you can't save your way to wealth. So if you're going to invest in where the markets are going, and they will be in the second largest profession outside of the new OnlyFans prostitution of the old world, which is physical products. Physical products have always been around. They have always been in need. And when the market goes up, the prices go up. When the market goes down, the prices go down. We have demand supply elasticity that allows us to move in the economics up and down of our price points as the market and stuff changes. And we have ridden through some very difficult times. And I see us in a position now for those who are working at the ground level to build these up and to take market share. It is going to be in a slingshot in 2026. We're going to ride this thing like absolute crazy.
I love it. I love it. How well do digital products do? We talk a lot about physical products. Do digital products move on Amazon?
You know, they don't as much because Amazon's platform is really geared toward the physical world, very, beginning at the book level. It runs well for Amazon, who owns most of all the digital products on Amazon. And that's actually where they make a lot of their money after their ads. For the physical product side, it is mainly that opportunity with Amazon. Yeah, there are certain digital things you can do on Amazon, like selling ebooks and other things, but that volume of market share is not as large as the market share that is on Amazon's physical product world. Because of their 700 billion in sales, most people don't realize that 60% of that is third-party sellers. Yeah. And
Lot of
you
third
can go
party sellers.
verify all that from Market Pulse and other places online if you want to do your due diligence.
I love it. So also I noticed that there are a lot of Amazon affiliates out there.
Of
Is
course,
that is this
affiliates, influencers, sure.
is this are they affiliates for Amazon, or are they affiliates for sellers like yourself who are, part of the Amazon
Well,
FBA
technically
program?
they're affiliates for Amazon, but since my product's on Amazon, if someone wants to affiliate that product, Amazon pays them, right? So if they come in and they promote the product, what I can do for an affiliate, and we do use them, is give them a slight percentage above what Amazon would already pay them to affiliate our product instead, right?
Does
But
that
those
contribute
influencers
to
and those
growth? Is that something you would recommend in year one, or is that more of a long term strategy?
No, it's more of a long-term strategy as I grow the brand and discover which products become my flagship products of my brand as I launch through additional products. And then we'll determine which ones have the upside opportunity to go out to affiliates, to go out to market impulse places where you can get other affiliates and stuff to move the product for me, to get influencers to move the product, to move it into shop, TikTok shop, to move it out to its own Shopify store, to maybe even move it into retail and to create an omni-channel, a holistic e-commerce company that has multiple legs of revenue and sales. Because in the end, I build these businesses from the beginning with the end in mind, and that is the exit, and that is our opportunity to build these businesses into a scalable, exitable position. Because inflation, at the end of the day, inflation is the thing that we all fight in our lives. And it is a transitory so far, not a thing that is disappearing. Hopefully it will go away. Maybe it will go down at least. Maybe it'll zero out. That'd be nice, but it is always there, meaning money in the last 45 minutes is worth less than it was 45 minutes ago. And
Always.
that will continue on every hour and day for the time being. So if I take my cash and I exit a brand on the upside potential, and then I have the skills and knowledge to go back and do it, I will simply create more products and brands. I will redeploy those soldiers back into the marketplace to go out and create more brands. That's why I have 12 of them, right? And so as I go back and keep doing that over and over again, I keep creating new market share opportunities. I keep creating new brands and opportunities. I keep deploying that capital back into the marketplace for growth. And then I exit the next company. And now we're acquiring companies as a mission. We work with a company called Patriot Growth Capital. They helped 16,000 veterans last year. It's a business as a mission. And that is to support the veteran community and their walk and their families by creating upside and opportunities through entrepreneurialism. So as we acquire those companies, I mentioned there's one we're closing on in August. We'll be hiring veterans to help support that community. We'll be training up veterans, looking for that CEO operator to rise up. And then in year 5, that particular person who has been trained gets their 10,000 hours of certification in our training, can then buy that company away from us and creating a life and generational life opportunity for their family. And it'll be veterans that have that opportunity as a part of our business.
I love that. You said in the book that e-commerce is not a side hustle. It's a real
It is
business.
not a side
It's a
hustle.
real business.
No, let's be very clear.
And just listening to everything that you've kind of, broken down and unpacked for us here, it's going to take a real mindset shift, because I think a lot of folks think, well, they see it and they think I can just do this as like my side hustle in addition to my job, or I'll just sell some products. You
Well,
really have to put some time in.
anything worth doing is worth doing well, as the saying goes, right? If I'm going, here's why I talk against that. You spoke about mindset. Let me speak against that for just a second, and here's why I'm speaking against it. There's such a thing as scarcity. There's such a thing as limiting beliefs. There is such a thing as abundance and growth and opportunity. And I think we tend to look at things like a side hustle or hobby business opportunity as meeting the scarcity that currently exists in our life, and not thinking about the abundance that we were granted in my world from a heavenly father who has all abundance. And so as we look at these things in different terms, if we look at it as a scarcity, scarcity is what we will receive. If we look at it as a side thing, side things is what we're going to receive. If we look at it as an opportunity to create a generational time or wealth freedom, even if it takes us 3, 5, or 7 years to do it, we're now moving into a mindset of abundance and out of scarcity. Therefore, we will put the correct time, energy, attention, and money required to move our life out of that situation once and for all. Not to just get by, not to just make it, not to just have a side thing that pays us a few extra whatever. It is really to put focus, attention, and mindset to get out of the scarcity mindset, out of the limiting belief, into an abundant opportunity. When I am telling you about the kind of numbers I'm telling you, that is abundance. It is so abundant in its numbers that most people can't grasp it, because every day we're being desensitized. by the numbers of billions and trillions being floated around that no one can really comprehend. It is an economic known, it is an actual psychological thing called zero stroke. You ever heard that terminology?
I haven't.
Zero stroke? Yeah, it really becomes when money is so great and so big that you have such a hard time comprehending it. And it was phrased out of the revolution that happened in Kenya, where they were literally moving all of their wealth by wheelbarrows because they had so much money to go down and buy a loaf of bread, that they were counting so many zeros that they psychologically coined a term called zero stroke. When someone would ask them how many kids they'd have, they say, I've got 29,000 kids. And people are like, what the heck? Like, because they were dealing in numbers so large all the time, because inflation was so hyper, they realized that they were in a position of a major problem, not only with the money, but they just weren't comprehending it. And I think we hear all this stuff and we become desensitized because it's over here and we feel like it's not close to us. But money is a river. It moves, it flows, it changes, it adapts. Money is changing right now in the economics of America. And I don't know that everybody fully understands yet what the implications of that mean in terms of opportunity for yourself to think in abundance. So, yeah, I speak against that because while it has short term gain, the hustle, the hard work, the extra hours just end up being trading more time for money. If you're going to trade some time for money away from your life, away from your family, away from your loved ones, especially the men I'm speaking to, when you go after that component, you then take away from something else. And I hear it all the time, Tyrell, but I don't have the time, man. I don't have the time. Time. What's all the time? Well, I don't got time. Time is a freaking excuse. Well, I teach 4 daughters at home. We homeschool, and I will not let them speak about the time they do not have. I never let them say they have to do anything. I always tell you, you get to do this. You don't have to do it. You have consequences for those actions and choices out of free will. They may be met positively, they may be met negatively. But if you get to do it, then you shift your entire mindset into looking for the positive things you get to do and not the negative scarcity aspect of having to do it. Right? And with that, you should be shifting your mindset to the things that I get to do. Why? Because that comes back to time. It comes back to the priority of time. And anybody on here saying, well, that sounds nice, Neil, but I don't have the time to do anything else. What you're actually saying is it's not a priority. And that's okay. It's not a priority. Just say it's not a priority. Could you look at your kids? Here's the biggest litmus test for this right now, for anybody listening. Could you go to your kids today? And I'm sure you've said this. Sorry, son. Sorry, daughter. I don't have time to do that right now. Daddy has to do this. I don't have time to do that. I got to go somewhere else. How about instead you look them in the eyes and say, you're not a priority right now.
It's too true. It's too true to do it.
Too true. But is it not true?
It's too true to say to your kids because it hurts you.
It's going to hurt them.
It's going to hurt
You're
them.
Not a priority.
It's going to hurt you.
But what are you actually telling them when you're not saying it? Dad doesn't have the time for this right now. You're not a priority. That's what they're hearing. Okay. We have to own that truth. So when I speak against the side hustle, hobby, business mindset mentality, I'm coming at it from that angle. You have the time. You get to do it. You have consequences of change. The change is what you're actually fearing for the consequences of the outcome. That is the opportunity. So get rid of the excuses, right? Your opportunity will begin at the end of your excuses, which means you stop saying, I don't have time, and you reprioritize. You don't reprioritize for next month. You reprioritize for the next year and the next year. Why? You should never regret changing your time priorities for family or friends and the purpose and value of that over profits.
Something you talk about. You talk about that in the book a lot too.
I talk about that a lot.
You prioritize fun.
I see a lot of scarcity mindsets. You want to know how I know that? Because I was in it, man.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking from like ideas. I was there, man. I've been bankrupt. I have taken the profit mind all the way to bankruptcy. Have you? Has anybody else listening to this call? No, probably not, because you do everything possible to avoid that fear from happening. And I'm not like that. I went straight into it until I went straight into bankruptcy. Okay. So I learned what a lot of people are afraid to do. I learned to stop doing all the other things I thought were going to try to avoid that, when in essence, it was planned that it was going to happen because of the way I was operating. It was inevitable that I would fall into that. It was inevitable. It was going to be created. Why? I had the wrong mindset, the wrong idea. I had my purpose and value and profits imbalanced. So it was just a matter of time till the whole thing failed. Right? And so really when it gets down to it, the idea was to gain profits, and so that I could spend time with my family and gain my purpose and value. Boy, was that backwards.
You just chase it. You chase it for so long, and it always evades you.
Yeah, you do. And there's actually a book I have right here called The Dark Side of Discipline, which actually speaks into that. It speaks into the idea, well, I got up at 4, I hustled and grind, I did all this stuff. Look, man, I don't start my day till 10 a.m., right? I choose my hours. I spend my time with my wife in the morning. We go for walks. My kids are homeschooled for a reason so that we can control and adapt their life and give them entrepreneurial opportunities. We have chosen to focus on purpose and value over profits. The outcome of changing that, I now realize, has been a way that my family and my business have been servitude to others. And then we have gained benefit from serving others. Oh, there's a shocker. Probably not the first person who's ever said that on your podcast, right?
About that. Well, I love it, and it sounds like you have a really fun, a really just great lifestyle that you've been able to put together there.
I absolutely love it, dude. Lifestyle by design. It took me 18 years to get here. I have helped people get there in 5 years or less, but it took me 18 years of hardship to help people go through a process by which they can avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made.
What's
And again, making one of those at the very beginning is not treating your opportunity that you're going to invest time, energy, attention, and money into like a real business from the very beginning.
You coach, thousands of people at this point now.
I have.
What's the difference between somebody who is successful and someone who stays stuck?
When they say when the mentee is ready, the mentor will appear. When somebody hears my words today, there's probably one person who might want to reach out to me out of all the people who are listening to this. Why? Because they realize not only am I telling the truth, but I'm living it as an example of what I do. And they want to be that person, and we cross over. And this isn't for everybody. It could be for that one person literally listening to this call today because they have made a choice, not because they necessarily heard me, but because they're now making a choice after today to listen, to change, to adapt, and to ask for help and to go do whatever they need to do to make it happen. They are no longer in excuse mode. They are no longer in scarcity thinking. They are in like, this is my time. I know I need to do it. I've just been waiting for that moment. It's time to go get it. They are people who are already on a pathway of perseverance and tenacity. They have troubles, but they've seen opportunities. They're simply just looking for the path to go forward. And whether I give it all to them or they go get it, they know they're going to get there. They don't need to be decided. They don't need to be motivated. They don't need to be controlled or manipulated. They need a runway.
That's it.
They need to go, right? And those are the kinds of people that have the most success in what we do because they will take not what we just give them, but they will create part of that opportunity out of their own drive and structure, and then they will own it. 100% own all the success and the failures of it. And there are just a few people who can actually say that they can do that. And literally, I've had 300 people since 2019 join me in this. That's it. I'm not running a coaching business to scale. I'm not looking for 1 million people, and I'm not speaking to this entire audience. I'm speaking to just those people who realize that they know they need to move. They've been waiting for that moment. They already are going to do the work, put in the time. They're not going to ask me how many hours a week does it take. They're just going to put in whatever it takes. They're not going to say, hey, well, I only have $5. They're going to come in and say, I'll do whatever it takes to get the capital outside of anything illegal or immoral to go and get the capital it takes to make this business work. I am ready to do this. I decided it's commerce. I decided it's physical products. You just spoke a lot of things into what I already understood and broke down some things I didn't. And so I see this being the right path for me. I was sort of already on it, right? And I've had people from real estate, from state representatives and military pilots and airline pilots and, real estate developers. I've had franchisee owners. One of the, top franchisee owners from Chick-fil-A is in my group.
Nice.
We've got, people from all walks of life, but they have that aptitude, they have that tenacity. I will even give them what's called a DISC assessment to ensure that they meet the top profile of the sellers and that I know have the most success because I don't want them to fail. Understand, my business model is to buy these companies in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So my business will succeed if their business succeeds because then I'll offer them a cash out opportunity as part of buying a company from them. And if they don't have the success, I don't meet my mission.
Yeah.
So it's got to win for everybody, right?
I love it. That is a true partnership. And it sounds like that's what you and your partner Reed Larson, right? You guys have built this system and this brand over the last decade. How does that can you give some advice on just making partnerships work?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do a great deal with a bad partner at the end of the day. You just can't. It'll burn, it'll crash, all right? you can take a somewhat okay deal and with a great partner, turn it into something amazing. Okay. How do you know the partnership? You know that the other person naturally meets qualities that you don't have. They are the opposite of you. Most partnerships fail because people try to find people to partner with who are like them.
So now we're both in the same lane.
Yep. So out of the, we're both in the same lane. And if you're both high in D and I in the disc profile, that's dominant and influence personality types, and you're both top dominant, you're just going to fight for jockeying over who has the best idea, but no one will actually do anything about it. Okay. If you're both operators at tactical level, operating at more of the stable and conscientious side of the house, while you have empathetic and reason and compassion, you're a great operator. You have no strategy. You'll be lost. And there'll be limited leadership. And you'll basically look around at each other and say, well, I did something. And the other person will say, well, I did something too. And it's like, well, why do we do that? I don't know.
Like
And you won't get anything done.
it was fun and we created something great, but we never sold it.
We never sold it. We were the best inventors ever of a product no one's ever going to hear about because we overthink it, we over-engineered it, we overdid it, but we never sold it. Right? So when I met Reed, what we discovered was we are two different people, very different people. But the commonality was in our belief that physical products in a business together would become a great outcome for both of us. And over 12 years of fighting and trouble and love and relationship and hate and all the stuff that goes in it, we're never going to say the D word. Divorce is never a part of our conversation any more than it's a part of my conversation with my wife. We just don't joke about it. We don't say it. It's just not an option. And my wife and I are polar opposites. So her and Reed can get together and go and have this great conversation, just chitter. And Reed and I get together and it's like, oh, we're all business. Why? Because we're two sides of a different coin, but we end up being one brain. He stays in his lane and does his stuff really well. I stay in my lane. We have crossover moments. When I need his input, he makes a decision. When he needs my input, I make the decision. And it has worked extremely well. But you find two people together, that's how partnerships will fail. In the end, it isn't just about the trust, which is important, even the time that we'll take to get implicit trust about who has the bank account, who runs the finances, et cetera, et cetera. It gets down to, is this person providing some value I cannot provide? And am I giving value to them that they can't provide so I can support them in any way possible? That's when a real partnership becomes a success.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been just a lot of fun and really a lot of information. You did some really deep dive onto what it takes to really launch a product and build a brand and develop all the tools and systems that go along with it.
There's a lot. But it's actually pretty simple.
But
at the end of the day.
You've also done a bit more and decided that you're going to give away 10 copies of the book to the listeners of the show. Neil's done a great thing and he said he's going to give you the book for free. I bought it before your assistant told me we were going to give it away for free. So, but it doesn't matter because I wanted to dig into it and I wanted to learn more about it. And
that's wonderful. I appreciate that.
But we're going to give away some copies of the book. I'll put the link in the show notes, but it's going to be voltagedm.com/free book. Use code Pizza King to download your copy and get going. Is that the best place for folks to start at this point?
VoltageDM.com. Yeah, there's a presentation there. The book, my mentor, Kevin Harrington, wrote the foreword. He's the original Shark Tank. He's the as seen on TV guy who created all those brands you know about. And he's been a wonderful guy in my life since 2016. He wrote the foreword. We have a little presentation that goes over about 45 minutes in detail, more of the plan that I just spoke to you about. If anybody's interested in speaking to me, you will talk to me. I don't have a sales team. We go through a qualification and application process and determine it's a good fit for both of us. I have a goal, as I've stated today, and those who come on board want a goal of building their business and becoming autonomous and having the upside potential of something that becomes a saleable asset that they're going to build over the years into an asset that becomes a potentially life generational change. And that's the goal for everybody as we move together. And yeah, there'll be a presentation there you can check out. And then if you feel so inclined to connect with me, please do.
I really appreciate that. This has been a lot of fun again. Just thank you again for taking the time and doing this. I know that you prioritize, just from reading and learning and talking to you here, you prioritize doing good things, having fun, being a good person and living a lifestyle. So thank you for taking part of your life and giving us some quality to.
Well, you were generous with your time too, so I appreciate that. And to everybody who took time to listen today.
Yeah, absolutely.